You might not realize this, but your gut is more than just the place where food goes to get processed. It's actually one of the most important systems in your body, and it plays a role in nearly everything you do, from how you feel physically to how your body handles inflammation, recovers from exercise, and even how well your joints and bones function. When most people think about gut health, they immediately jump to ideas like avoiding bloating, heartburn, or constipation. But the truth is, a healthy gut is about much more than just comfort after meals. It's an entire ecosystem filled with trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms, many of which are incredibly beneficial. These good bacteria don't just help break down food, they also play a key role in controlling inflammation, regulating your immune system, supporting nutrient absorption, and even influencing your mood and mental clarity. So when your gut is off balance, whether because of poor diet, stress, lack of sleep, or overuse of antibiotics, it can set off a cascade of problems that affect multiple systems in your body. One of the areas most affected by poor gut health is your joints. You see, there's something called systemic inflammation, which is basically inflammation that runs through your entire body. When your gut is unhealthy, it can allow certain toxins and undigested food particles to leak into your bloodstream, a condition sometimes referred to as leaky gut. Once these particles enter the bloodstream, your immune system sees them as invaders, and it responds by triggering inflammation throughout your body. Your joints are especially sensitive to this type of inflammation, which can manifest as stiffness, soreness, or even chronic joint pain over time. That's why people who focus solely on joint supplements or painkillers often don't see lasting results, because they're treating the symptoms rather than addressing one of the root causes, which starts in the gut. Beyond inflammation, gut health also directly affects your ability to absorb the nutrients your body needs. Every vitamin, mineral, and protein you consume goes through your digestive system before your body can use it. If your gut isn't functioning properly, it can't efficiently extract these nutrients, and that means your bones and joints might not get the building blocks they need to stay strong and resilient. Calcium, vitamin D, magnesium, vitamin K, and protein are all essential for bone density and joint health, but without a healthy gut, even the best diet might fall short. So when we talk about gut health being the foundation, we're really talking about creating the conditions for your whole body to function optimally. A healthy gut ensures that the foods you eat aren't just fuel for energy, but are also effectively turned into nutrients that your cells, muscles, joints, and bones can use to repair, grow, and protect themselves. Another aspect that makes gut health so critical is its role in regulating inflammation through the production of specific compounds. Certain gut bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids and other molecules that have anti-inflammatory properties. When these bacteria are abundant and thriving, they help calm down inflammation in the gut, which then spreads throughout the body, including to the joints. On the other hand, if you have an overgrowth of harmful bacteria, yeast, or pathogens, these compounds aren't produced in sufficient amounts, and inflammation increases. That's why people with chronic joint pain, arthritis, or autoimmune conditions often see improvement when they focus on healing their gut, because it reduces the inflammatory triggers circulating through their system. Your gut health also has a surprising connection to your immune system, which is another reason it's so foundational. Approximately 70% of your immune system is located in your gut, in structures called gut-associated lymphoid tissue. This means that a lot of your body's ability to fight off infections, reduce inflammation, and recover from injuries starts in the gut. A strong immune system helps protect joints from autoimmune attacks, prevents chronic inflammation from building up, and supports tissue repair. Conversely, a compromised gut can weaken your immune response, allowing inflammation to linger, healing to slow down, and joint discomfort to become more noticeable. It's also important to recognize that gut health influences how your body responds to exercise. When you move your body, you create micro tears in muscles and stress in joints, which is completely normal. Your body heals and strengthens during recovery, but it needs nutrients and a well-functioning immune system to do this efficiently. If your gut isn't absorbing nutrients properly, or your immune system is overactive due to gut inflammation, your recovery slows, soreness increases, and your joints may feel achy leakier than they should after workouts. In other words, gut health impacts not only day-to-day comfort, but also your ability to train effectively and stay active without pain or setbacks. The great news is that the gut is incredibly adaptable, and with consistent effort, it can be restored and strengthened. Starting with your diet is one of the most powerful ways to improve gut health. Foods rich in fiber, fermented foods that provide probiotics, and prebiotic foods that feed healthy bacteria all contribute to a thriving gut ecosystem. Reducing processed foods, sugar, and inflammatory oils helps prevent harmful bacteria from overgrowing. Hydration also plays a key role because water is necessary for digestion, nutrient transport, and the lubrication of joints. Regular physical activity stimulates gut motility, helps regulate hormones, and supports healthy bacteria, while stress management techniques like meditation or deep breathing further reduce inflammation and support gut repair. Even small changes can have a big impact over time. Adding one fermented food a day, prioritizing whole foods, going for a daily walk, and practicing mindful breathing are all steps that strengthen your gut. As your gut improves, you may notice your digestion becoming smoother, your energy levels rising, and even your joints starting to feel more comfortable and flexible. It's like a domino effect. When you create a strong foundation in your gut, the benefits ripple through your entire body, improving not just digestion, but joint health, bone strength, immune resilience, and overall vitality. Ultimately, thinking of gut health as the foundation shifts your approach to wellness. It's not just about what supplements you take or how often you exercise. It's about nurturing the ecosystem that powers your body. When you focus on supporting your gut, everything else, from joint comfort and bone density to energy, mental clarity, and resilience, starts falling into place. The connection might not always be visible immediately, but over weeks and months, the difference becomes undeniable. Your body begins functioning in harmony, inflammation decreases, nutrient absorption improves, and your joints and bones are supported in ways that no quick fix can provide. Gut health isn't just one piece of the puzzle, it's the cornerstone that allows all the other pieces to work together properly, giving you a stronger, more flexible, and more energetic body that can carry you through life with less pain, more ease, and greater vitality.
When it comes to stress, one of the most empowering things to realize is that small, consistent practices can make a massive difference in how your mind and body respond. You don't need complicated routines or expensive treatments. The key lies in simple, intentional actions that you can weave into your daily life. One of the most immediate and effective tools you have at your disposal is your own breath. Breathing might seem automatic, something you barely think about, but the way you breathe has a profound impact on your nervous system and overall stress levels. Techniques like box breathing, where you inhale for 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and pause for 4, are designed to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest mode. This simple practice can slow your heart rate, reduce tension, and create a sense of calm in just a few minutes. You can do it anywhere, whether you're sitting at your desk, waiting in traffic, or preparing for an important meeting. The beauty of controlled breathing is that it's portable, immediate, and requires no special equipment, yet it works at a deep physiological level to counteract the effects of stress. Movement is another incredibly effective daily practice. Exercise isn't just about looking fit or building strength, it directly impacts your brain chemistry. When you move, your body releases endorphins, often called the good feel chemicals, which naturally improve your mood and reduce the perception of stress. You don't need an intense workout or hours at the gym to experience these benefits. Even a brisk 20-minute walk, stretching, yoga, or light resistance training can improve your mental state, boost energy levels, and regulate hormones like cortisol. Exercise also helps improve sleep, which in turn reduces stress even further. The consistency of movement matters more than intensity, so incorporating small amounts throughout your day can have a cumulative effect that transforms how you respond to stress over time. Sleep itself is one of the most underestimated stress-reducing practices. When you're well rested, your mind processes emotions better, your attention span improves, and your ability to cope with challenges increases dramatically. Poor sleep, on the other hand, amplifies stress, reduces patience, and makes you more reactive to situations that you might otherwise handle calmly. Prioritizing good sleep hygiene, like maintaining a regular bedtime, limiting screen time before bed, and creating a calm, dark sleeping environment, allows your nervous system to reset and recover. Think of sleep as a natural reset button for both your body and mind. Without it, stress accumulates and becomes harder to manage, even if you are practicing other stress reduction techniques. Another daily practice that can dramatically shift your stress levels is mindfulness. Mindfulness doesn't require hours of meditation or special training. It's simply the act of bringing your attention to the present moment and observing your thoughts and feelings without judgment. This can be done while washing dishes, walking, or even sitting quietly for a few minutes. By practicing mindfulness regularly, you create a space between yourself and the stressor, which allows you to respond intentionally rather than react impulsively. Even short daily sessions, like a 5-minute guided meditation, can help train your brain to notice stress without becoming overwhelmed by it. Over time, this rewiring strengthens your mental resilience and gives you more control over how stress affects you. Gratitude practices are another surprisingly powerful tool. Taking a few minutes each day to reflect on things you are thankful for, even small things like a warm cup of coffee, a kind interaction, or a moment of sunshine, can shift your focus away from stress and towards positivity. This doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending life is perfect. It's about creating a mental habit that balances stress with recognition of what's going well. Daily gratitude can improve mood, enhance relationships, and reduce symptoms of anxiety and depression over time. Social connection is also essential. Humans are wired for connection, and reaching out to friends, family, or supportive communities can provide an incredible buffer against stress. Even brief conversations or a shared laugh can lower cortisol levels and trigger feelings of safety and support. Daily engagement with people who make you feel understood and valued reinforces your ability to cope with challenges. On the flip side, neglecting social interactions can make stress feel heavier and more isolating, which is why intentional connection is such a vital daily practice. Finally, the cumulative effect of these daily practices is what makes them so powerful. While one session of box breathing or a single walk might provide temporary relief, integrating these actions consistently into your day builds a foundation of resilience. Over time, your nervous system learns to recover more quickly from stress, your mood stabilizes, your focus sharpens, and your overall capacity to handle life's pressures increases. Small steps compound into significant results, and the consistency of these practices is what allows them to create lasting change.
When we talk about mental health and stress management, it's impossible to ignore the profound impact that lifestyle factors have on the way our minds function. Every choice we make, what we eat, how we move, how we sleep, even how we interact with our environment, plays a role in shaping the chemical and electrical activity in our brains. Nutrition, for example, isn't just about physical health. It directly affects mood, cognitive function, and emotional stability. Your brain is an energy-intensive organ, and it relies on a steady supply of nutrients to function optimally. When you consume a diet high in processed foods, sugar, and unhealthy fats, you're essentially feeding your brain with energy that spikes and crashes, which can increase irritability, anxiety, and difficulty concentrating. On the other hand, nutrient-rich foods like leafy greens, lean proteins, whole grains, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish provide the building blocks your brain needs to produce neurotransmitters such as serotonin and dopamine, which regulate mood and create a sense of well-being.
Even something as simple as staying hydrated can have an immediate effect on your mental clarity, energy levels, and ability to manage stress, because dehydration affects the balance of chemicals in the brain and can mimic symptoms of fatigue and anxiety. Physical activity is another cornerstone of lifestyle that influences mental health. Exercise doesn't just help regulate weight or improve cardiovascular health, it is a natural stress reliever that supports brain function at multiple levels. When you engage in regular movement, your body releases endorphins, which are natural mood elevators, as well as brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that promotes the growth and maintenance of neurons. This means that regular exercise can literally reshape your brain, making it more resilient to stress and better able to process emotions. And the best part is that it doesn't have to be extreme or time-consuming. Consistency matters more than intensity. Simple habits like walking, stretching, yoga, or even dancing to your favorite music can have immediate and cumulative effects on mental well-being. Moving your body also improves sleep, circulation, and energy levels, all of which reinforce your capacity to handle stress effectively. Sleep is another non-negotiable factor in lifestyle that impacts mental health. The relationship between sleep and stress is deeply intertwined. Poor sleep increases cortisol levels, which heightens stress and anxiety, while chronic stress itself disrupts sleep patterns, creating a vicious cycle. During deep sleep, the brain processes emotions, consolidates memories, and restores chemical balance, which is essential for clear thinking and emotional regulation. If you consistently get insufficient or low-quality sleep, your ability to cope with daily stressors diminishes, your focus suffers, and your mood becomes unstable. Practicing good sleep hygiene, like keeping a consistent bedtime, creating a calm, dark environment, limiting exposure to screens before bed, and avoiding stimulants late in the day, can dramatically improve your mental resilience. Even small adjustments in sleep habits can have far-reaching effects on how your brain handles stress and processes emotions. Another lifestyle factor that plays a critical role is the management of daily routines and environment. The pace of modern life is fast, and constant multitasking, notifications, and overstimulation can increase stress levels without us even realizing it. Structuring your day in a way that includes deliberate breaks, time outdoors, and moments of quiet reflection can help regulate the nervous system and give your mind space to reset. This doesn't mean avoiding responsibilities, but rather approaching your day with intention, pacing yourself, and prioritizing tasks in a way that prevents burnout. Small lifestyle adjustments, like organizing your workspace, decluttering your environment, and taking short breaks to stretch or breathe, can have a surprisingly large impact on your mental clarity and stress response. Social and emotional lifestyle choices are also vital. How we interact with people, the quality of our relationships, and the amount of support we have can either buffer or amplify stress. Humans are inherently social beings, and having meaningful connections reduces cortisol levels, provides a sense of safety, and promotes feelings of belonging. On the other hand, toxic relationships, social isolation, or constant conflict can heighten stress, contribute to anxiety, and erode mental health over time. Investing in positive relationships, setting boundaries with negative influences, and making time for connection can act as powerful lifestyle interventions that protect mental well-being. Even small habits like practicing gratitude, journaling, or incorporating mindfulness into your day are part of a lifestyle that supports mental health. These practices help regulate thought patterns, reduce rumination, and enhance emotional resilience. Mindfulness, for example, trains your brain to respond to stress intentionally rather than reactively, and gratitude shifts your focus toward positivity, which balances out stress. While these may seem minor compared to diet, exercise, or sleep, their cumulative impact is profound because they strengthen mental habits that persist long term. Finally, the combination of all these lifestyle factors, nutrition, movement, sleep,
Environment, social connection, and daily mental habits creates a feedback loop that either supports or undermines mental health. When you consistently make choices that nourish your body and mind, your stress levels decrease, your emotional regulation improves, and your overall quality of life rises. On the other hand, neglecting these areas compounds stress, leaving your brain and body vulnerable to emotional instability, fatigue, and health complications. The key is awareness and intention. By paying attention to how lifestyle choices affect your mental state and gradually integrating positive habits into your daily routine, you create a foundation for long-term mental resilience that allows you to navigate challenges more calmly, clearly, and effectively.
When it comes to managing stress and maintaining mental health, perspective plays a more significant role than many people realize. How you view challenges, setbacks, and even everyday pressures can completely change the way your brain reacts and the way your body responds to stress. Life will always present difficulties, and some days will feel heavier than others. But the difference between feeling overwhelmed and feeling capable often comes down to mindset. Perspective isn't about pretending that problems don't exist or forcing yourself to be positive when you feel exhausted. It's about cultivating the ability to approach situations with clarity and balance. It's about noticing your thoughts and deciding which ones deserve your energy and which ones are simply fueling unnecessary anxiety. When you intentionally shift perspective, you give yourself the power to respond to challenges instead of reacting impulsively. It's a subtle skill, but over time it can transform your experience of stress, allowing you to navigate life's ups and downs with more calm and confidence. Equally critical to mental resilience is social support. Humans are wired for connection, and isolation can amplify stress in ways that are both emotional and physiological. When we interact with supportive friends, family, or communities, our brains release oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, which reduces stress and promotes feelings of safety and trust. These connections provide more than just emotional comfort. They offer perspective, advice, validation, and sometimes even solutions that we wouldn't find on our own. Sharing your struggles with someone who listens without judgment can significantly reduce cortisol levels and give your mind a sense of relief. Social support doesn't have to be limited to long conversations or deep friendships either. Even small interactions like checking in with a friend, exchanging encouraging messages, or spending quality time with loved ones can act as buffers against the daily stressors that accumulate over time. On the flip side, neglecting social connections or surrounding yourself with negativity can exacerbate stress, making problems feel bigger and more unmanageable. This is why building and maintaining supportive relationships is an essential lifestyle choice for mental health, not just a nice-to-have. Self-care is another pillar that ties perspective and social support together. Many people mistakenly think self-care is selfish or indulgent, but the truth is that taking care of your own needs is vital for resilience and overall well-being. Self-care can take many forms. It might be physical, like going for a walk, stretching, or preparing a nutritious meal. Emotional, like journaling, meditating, or expressing your feelings. Or social, like spending time with people who energize you. These practices send a clear message to your brain and body that your needs matter, which in turn reduces chronic stress and supports mental health. One of the key aspects of self-care is consistency. Even small, intentional actions every day can create a protective layer against stress. It's about recognizing your limits and giving yourself permission to pause, recharge, and reset. Over time, these moments of care accumulate into a stronger sense of stability, making it easier to handle challenges without feeling drained or overwhelmed. Perspective, social support, and self-care also interact with one another in powerful ways.
For example, when you maintain supportive relationships, it's easier to gain perspective on a problem that feels overwhelming because others can provide insight you might not have considered. Practicing self-care allows you to step back and reflect rather than react impulsively, which also strengthens your perspective. Likewise, having a clear and balanced perspective enables you to seek support effectively and use self-care in ways that are truly restorative rather than superficial. These elements feed into each other, creating a cycle of resilience that enhances your ability to cope with stress and maintain mental health over time. One important part of perspective is learning to reframe negative thoughts. Our minds often focus on worst-case scenarios, what-ifs, or self-critical narratives, which intensifies stress unnecessarily. By consciously shifting your viewpoint and asking yourself questions like, is this thought based on fact or assumption? Or what's one way I could approach this differently? You create space between yourself and the stressor. This mental pause allows for thoughtful responses rather than knee-jerk reactions, which can prevent conflict, reduce anxiety, and improve emotional regulation. Over time, reframing becomes a habit that fundamentally changes the way your brain interprets stress, making daily challenges feel more manageable and less threatening. Self-care also includes setting boundaries, which is a critical but often overlooked aspect of mental health. Saying no when necessary, limiting exposure to negative influences, and protecting your personal time are all acts of self-respect that safeguard your energy. Many people experience unnecessary stress simply because they overcommit or fail to communicate their limits. Learning to set boundaries strengthens your mental resilience because it prevents chronic overload and gives you control over what you allow into your life. Boundaries are a form of self-care that not only reduces stress, but also fosters healthier relationships as people learn to respect your needs and vice versa. Finally, perspective, social support, and self-care are ongoing practices rather than one-time fixes. Life will always bring new challenges, unexpected stressors, and moments of uncertainty. And these three elements give you the tools to navigate them effectively. Daily attention to mindset, nurturing connections, and taking care of yourself creates a foundation of mental stability that allows stress to be manageable rather than overwhelming. Consistency is what transforms these strategies from occasional relief into long-term resilience, enabling you to face life's pressures without sacrificing your mental health or sense of well-being.
One of the most powerful things to understand about mental health and stress management is that small, consistent habits often have a greater impact than occasional, intense efforts. Many people think that improving mental resilience requires drastic lifestyle changes or major interventions, but the truth is that tiny, deliberate actions repeated over time can transform the way your brain and body respond to stress. Habits work because they bypass the need for constant willpower and decision-making, creating automatic patterns that shape your life in meaningful ways. For example, taking just 5 minutes each morning to practice deep breathing, meditate, or reflect on your intentions might seem insignificant in isolation, but when done consistently, it builds a foundation of calm and focus that strengthens your mental resilience. These small practices act like training for your nervous system, teaching it to recover from stress more efficiently and respond to challenges with clarity rather than panic. Consistency is what turns these small actions into lasting change. One meditation session or a single day of journaling won't suddenly make stress disappear, but committing to these practices daily or even several times a week gradually rewires your brain. Neuroscience shows that our brains are highly adaptable, and repetitive mental exercises strengthen neural pathways associated with focus, emotional regulation, and resilience. The process is cumulative. Each time you practice a habit, you reinforce your capacity to manage stress, and over weeks and months, these small steps create a noticeable difference in mood, energy, and overall mental well-being.
It's like investing in your future self. The effort may feel modest in the moment, but the long-term payoff is immense. Another benefit of small, consistent habits is that they make stress management approachable and sustainable. Life is unpredictable, and most people fail to maintain practices that feel overwhelming or time-consuming. By breaking down larger goals into manageable daily actions, you remove the intimidation factor and increase the likelihood of sticking with them. For instance, instead of committing to an hour of exercise each day, you might start with a 10-minute walk or a few stretches in the morning. Instead of attempting to overhaul your diet overnight, you could begin by adding one additional serving of vegetables each day. These micro habits are easier to integrate into your routine, and the consistency gradually compounds into substantial improvement in both physical and mental health. The concept of habit stacking can also amplify results. This is the idea of linking a new habit to an existing one, which makes the new practice easier to remember and more likely to stick. For example, you could combine deep breathing or mindfulness with your morning coffee, journaling with brushing your teeth at night, or a short gratitude reflection before going to bed. By tying new habits to established routines, you create automatic triggers that reinforce consistency without adding unnecessary mental load. Over time, these stacked habits become a natural part of your day, requiring minimal effort but delivering substantial cumulative benefits for stress management and mental resilience. Small, consistent habits also help create a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic. When stress arises, it can leave you feeling powerless and reactive, but engaging in even minor daily practices reminds your mind and body that you have agency over your well-being. That sense of control is incredibly stabilizing. It signals to your nervous system that while challenges exist, you are capable of responding in ways that protect your mental health. This not only reduces the intensity of stress reactions, but also builds confidence in your ability to handle future difficulties. The more you practice, the more automatic your stress coping mechanisms become, and over time, they create a mental resilience that feels effortless. It's also important to recognize that small habits are cumulative, and they often reinforce each other in unexpected ways. A short walk in the morning might improve sleep at night, which in turn enhances focus and emotional stability the following day. Journaling or gratitude practice may boost mood, which encourages healthier eating or better social interactions. Exercise can release endorphins that improve mental clarity, which makes it easier to maintain mindfulness practices. When these micro habits begin to interact and support one another, the result is a network of behaviors that collectively strengthen your mental and emotional resilience. You begin to notice that stress no longer feels as overwhelming, decision-making becomes easier, and everyday challenges feel more manageable because your mind and body are better equipped to cope. One of the most empowering aspects of this approach is that it emphasizes progress over perfection. You don't need to follow every practice flawlessly or feel pressure to make drastic changes all at once. The point is to start small and remain consistent even when life gets busy or overwhelming. Miss a day? That's okay. The habit isn't ruined. What matters is returning to it and maintaining the pattern over time. This mindset prevents discouragement and makes long-term stress management achievable rather than daunting. It's the small, repeated efforts that create momentum, and that momentum gradually builds into a stable foundation of mental strength. Finally, small, consistent habits remind us that mental health is a daily practice rather than a destination. You can't simply meditate once and expect lifelong calm, or exercise once and achieve permanent resilience. Mental strength grows incrementally, shaped by the tiny, deliberate actions you take every day. Over months and years, these micro-habits compound into profound changes in the way you respond to stress, manage emotions, and approach life's challenges. The key is patience, repetition, and dedication to small, intentional acts that signal to your mind and body that you are invested in your well-being.
By focusing on consistent, manageable steps, you not only reduce stress in the present moment, but also create a long-lasting foundation of mental resilience that supports your happiness, health, and quality of life in ways that are sustainable and transformative.